I'm Kate Dewey, and I'm president of the Forbes Funds, and I am delighted to welcome you all today. The next 10 years will redefine this community. It will redefine this community in terms of how the nonprofit sector operates, what our industries are, our demographics. We're not going to grow a whole lot, but our demographics will look tremendously different. Is that correct English? I'm not sure. But there will be jobs that we don't even envision today. There will be technologies that have not been thought of that are making a difference to you and your health as we speak. I remember being at one retreat for a healthcare provider, and they said 85% of their procedures will be automated in 10 years. That's a big change. And this community, we are right on the cusp, and we can feel it, we can see it, that this community, this region, has such energy and a can-do attitude about our future. And so just think about 10 years from now, if we all could stand together and say, we did it. I wonder what we did it means. So when we think about we did it, I would hope it would mean that we have created economic vitality for this region that includes everybody. That there's nobody left behind. And this is a community that embraces everyone, because to not embrace them is not community. We know as we stand here today, we have some tall order issues, not different from any other community, but we are a community that is trying to manage opportunity. And so we do have those tall order issues that might look differently in terms of how we address them here, so that we, in fact, can achieve our aspirations. And so that's why we pivoted this summit today. It used to be just for nonprofits. Is this reverberating? It used to be just for nonprofits. And we decided that this look at the region 10 years from now was so critical that we really needed to pivot it in terms of including all different kinds of partners, listening together and talking together about how we can leverage our collective assets so that we, in fact, can tackle some of these tall issues. Because a hungry child impacts an industry, impacts government, and clearly impacts the work of nonprofits. And it is so appropriate that I think nonprofits chose to have this summit and drove the hosting of this summit, because we oftentimes see the implications of some of these tall order issues every day in our work. What today is about also is to take a fresh look at this sector. For those of you who may know 4 or 5 or 6 nonprofits, it's time to step back and realize that this is a sector that is absolutely formidable and essential to the future of this region. This is a sector that in Allegheny County employs 75,000 people a year. This is a sector that employs more people than the construction industry, employs more people than the manufacturing industry. This is a sector, and this is just community-focused organization, is not the large hospitals or universities. This is a sector that pumps $4.4 billion into the economy. So here we are, a sector that touches everybody's life in our community. There's nobody that's not touched by a nonprofit somehow, some way. This is a sector that saves taxpayer dollars. This is a sector that has the capacity to drive and be part of social change. And this is a sector that has an economic interest in the vitality of this region. And so we hope that you can look at us afresh, but we also hope that we can get beyond our silos and find ways that we can creatively amass our collective talent to tackle some of the tall orders so that in 2025, there truly is nobody left behind. So I welcome you today. I hope you'll have fun. I hope you learn. I hope you meet new people. And I hope we walk out of here with some beginning ideas about how we can tackle some of these tall issues. So with that, I'm turning it over to John Lydon, CEO of Arborly, and also the chair of the Greater Pittsburgh Nonprofit Partnership.
Thanks, Kate. On behalf of the Greater Pittsburgh Nonprofit Partnership, and particularly our advisory team, I want to welcome everybody for coming today, for participating in GPNP. Greater Pittsburgh Nonprofit Partnership is an organization of more than 400 nonprofits throughout the region, combining our voices together on behalf of the sector. We've had a great year coming to this point in terms of leadership on key issues, such as measuring the value of what nonprofits do in our work, of educating our members, of being involved in the state poverty initiative, which has kind of been sitting there during this budget opportunity. We certainly have been involved in both education and advocacy, the state budget being one of those issues, going all the way back to March when we started talking about it was going to be a problem. That advocacy, driven by a lot of people in this room, has been very effective, certainly in keeping some media attention on what's going on in the terms of the budget stalemate. Our materials have been used in arguments on the floor in Harrisburg. They've been in the publications of a number of the leaders, but yet we still need to ratchet up the pressure on the budget. And we're going to be talking about doing some social media things in a minute, but we need people to continue. We have a aggressive schedule of meeting with legislators and talking to people and trying to shift. Right now, there's more benefit to playing to your base than there is in looking at the pressure that's happening on the vulnerable people of the state. What has happened is the nonprofits, all of us in this room, have stepped into that breach and have done a wonderful job of shielding the vulnerable people by continuing our services, by taking care of people, by putting our agencies at risk, by borrowing in order to keep vital services in this Commonwealth going forward. And we need to make sure that our voice and the voice of the people we serve is heard in Harrisburg, that this is intolerable and has to move in a different direction. You know, Kate spoke about the impact of the sector, and in addition to our clients, I want you to think for a minute about our direct care staff, the frontline people who choose not to pursue money in the for-profit side, but like entrepreneurs, decide to follow a passion to help people, to make a difference and to change. I know there are agencies in the room, certainly in the region, that have laid off staff, that have stopped paying people or have cut back pay. Our people can't afford to be able to do that, and it hurts the long-term potential of the sector. So all of us together, whether you're directly impacted by the budget impasse or not, for the benefit of the quality of life in the Commonwealth, we need to get together to talk in a collective voice that GPNP provides in order to resolve this issue and force people to meet their constitutional duty to have a budget. Otherwise, this could become the new normal. I can't tell you how many elected officials have said to us, particularly meetings Sam and I have been in, about, you know, I thought there'd be a lot more pressure on this. I thought there'd be a lot more unhappy people, but I'm not seeing as many as I am on the business side on the tax issue. So as you're listening to the sessions today and learning, let's recommit to changing this paradigm, to getting this budget passed, and to moving the needle forward and getting our focus back on the future of the sector and being able to do the really great work that you and your staffs do every day to make the Commonwealth a better place to live. Now, I want to turn this over to Samantha, but before I do, I want to make sure everybody in the room understands Samantha Balbier, I know you're aware, is our executive director. When you look around this room and see all these people and all these sessions and all the great things happening today, here's the leadership that has made that happen. She has made a huge difference in GPNP, and we all owe her and her staff a debt of gratitude for today.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the summit. We have a record-setting attendance today, and it is through the generosity of our lead sponsors that we were able to bring the summit to the scale that it is right now. So I want to take a moment for us all to thank all of our sponsors, but especially the Grable Foundation, UPMC, Alcoa, and Huntington Bank. One of my favorite quotes of all time is by Helen Keller. And she said, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." I love that sentiment. It is the absolute essence of the Greater Pittsburgh Nonprofit Partnership. It is about all of us, from all of our fields of expertise, coming together to cross silos, to find answers to society's most persistent and complex problems. It is what the nonprofit sector people, all of us, went to school for. It's what we dedicated our lives for. And today is an opportunity for you all to talk about some of those really persistent issues. But we've also, as Kate said, we've invited the private sector. We have a great showing of a number of startup companies in Pittsburgh today who are here, who want to build their companies based on social mission. What a great opportunity for us to share, nonprofits to share expertise with these startup companies. We also have a number of government officials who are going to be attending throughout the day. So look out for them if you haven't run into them already. They will be here along with their staff members and also participating in some of the sessions. So I just want to turn to the format of the day and remind you that this summit has been designed with an emphasis of getting your input, getting engagement from the community, getting your input on some of the issues that were identified by our planning committee as being some of the region's most pressing issues. You know, Pittsburgh and southwestern PA is enjoying a resurgence. We're in the news every day about the best place to live, right? But that's not the case for everyone. And that's the heart of nonprofit work, is making sure that is the case for everyone. So if we can turn to the format of the day quickly. Here's our schedule at a glance. It's tight. We packed so much into today because there's so much to tackle, but there are so many incredible leaders that have decided and to engage with us, to share their knowledge, to facilitate and present the information on these issues. So we ask all of you, as you leave the ballroom, to go to these community dialogue sessions. Choose the one that you want. We didn't do registration for them. We want to give you options. Make sure when you're in there that you participate. If you don't feel like talking, write it down on a note and hand it up the aisle. Let's make sure we get everyone's voices heard as much as possible. We need to get to places on time. We need to do as much networking as we can and fit that into the day. And we're going to culminate into a grand reception that will be on the terrace and on the third floor at the end of the day. What I really want to emphasize is the nonprofit sector is only as strong as its outcomes in the community. And that holds true for the Greater Pittsburgh Nonprofit Partnership as well. So in the spirit of evaluation and in the spirit of outcomes, every session has a tailor-made evaluation that will be awaiting for you at your seat. Please fill that out. We want your input on how the session was delivered, and you will receive a survey in the mail or your email tomorrow morning about the summit overall. This is a new format, it's a new design, and I want to make sure I get your input to figure out how we're going to do the next one. So, John talked about the budget. Who here's just a little bit upset about the state budget? I'm upset about the state budget, but today is perfect timing. Perfect timing. We've got 1,300 people in this convention center that is upset about the state budget, who are impacted by the absence of a state spending plan. The folks that we serve are impacted by the absence of a state spending plan, by the inability of Harrisburg to pass a budget by their constitutionally mandated deadline. So today, I ask you, when you registered, you got a social media card. Can you guys all hold that up? I'm going to give you a second to get it because it's really important. This is our opportunity through social media to have our voices heard. And that's the Greater Pittsburgh Nonprofit Partnership's role, right? That's how we all come together. That's how people know we exist. So you got your social media card. On the first page, on the first side, are suggested messages. Those have all been scheduled in advance. Go to Twitter, and all you have to do is hit retweet. And they will go to the places that they need to go. If you want to craft your own message, go for it. But look at those time frames. Make sure that you get those messages out there. On the back of that is a listing of all of the legislative handles. On the one hand, we're glad that we have such great representation and we have a lot of legislators out there. The downside is you have to print them all on a half-sheet piece of paper, and so they're really, really small. So get out your magnifying glasses and look at the Twitter handles that are printed on the second-hand side of that handout, and you can direct your tweets in that way. The hashtag is hashtag GPNP Summit. The other hashtag is hashtag PA Budget. Hashtag PA Budget is where all of the complaining goes to the state, where all of the opinions are heard. So by using hashtag PA Budget, we are entering a state conversation. So if you do both, we'll be able to have our voices heard through social media.